Hi everyone, and welcome to the fifth annual and first ever all virtual Shy Teen Lit Fest. So this workshop we have Zine and Heard with stories worth telling with Lupita, Osmary, Spencer, and Isabel Cervantes. So it was founded in 2011. Brown and Proud Press is a of collective of creatives of color with the intent of sharing personal narratives of struggle and triumph. We use zine as a catalyst for collective healing and liberation. We believe in the necessities of self preservation and seek to increase visibility around struggles and historians of marginalized folks, a history told by us for us. We also seek to create brave spaces for artists to perform and share their audio, visual, and written art.
Cool. So we're going to just start by introducing ourselves. My name is Lupita. I am not the teen in this group. I run a collective called Brown and Proud Press, and you just heard a little bit about that. But this is our new generation coming up of zinesters, future Brown and Proud Pressians. So yeah, Lupita, she, her pronouns. Um, Here for the teens. Isabel, you want to go next?
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Isabel Cervantes. I'm a senior at Solorio Academy High School. My pronouns are she, her.
Spencer, you want to go?
Hi, my name is Spencer De La Riva. I am an illustrator, and I draw a lot of character-based stuff, and my pronouns are he, him.
Okay, and hi, my name is Osmari Calderon. I am a senior at Nicolas in high school. And I am a writer and a new scene maker. And my pronouns are she, her.
Awesome. So we just want to start by letting you guys know what the purpose of this workshop is. So we want to teach you the skills, both visually and for yourself to be able to choose topics for zines, so that you can make your own digital zine. We know that because of the pandemic, printing a bunch of zines and going somewhere and giving them to people in close proximity is not a thing. So today we're going to be helping y'all and giving y'all the skills to make your own digital zine. The goal is not for you to finish a whole zine and share a whole zine. We don't have enough time for that, but we're really just trying to give you that start and that first little push and any info that will help you in your zine journey. Um, Brown and Proud Press has been making zines for a really long time, and these are just three of the amazing students we've been able to impact and teach about zine making, and we're really, really proud of them and excited for them to teach y'all and to keep the gift of zine making and that skill, keep that going. Um, so we're gonna let y'all know what zines are, who the first zinester was. We're gonna have a couple of these teens present their zines. We're also gonna help you guys in a conversation about choosing topics, give y'all some visual elements, components for your zine that you're gonna be making, and then we'll watch an instructional video on how to actually make a zine on Canva. So yeah, and throughout this whole thing, there's going to be opportunities for y'all to ask questions, make comments. The chat is alive, so put into it and it will give to y'all. Yeah, so I'm going to pass it on to Isabel to talk about what zines are and things.
Thank you, Lupita. Okay, so hi, like I said before, my name is Isabel, and I'm gonna talk about what a zine is and who Ida B. Wells was. Zines are similar to magazines, but they're independently published, so this means that anyone can make a zine. I was barely introduced to like the zine culture this past summer, and so far I've made 2 zines, but I know one of my peers, Spencer, he already has created a lot of zines. So zines can be a collection of pictures, writing pieces like poems, thoughts, quotes. Just imagine like a magazine, right? They have pictures, they have text, they have bold headings or maybe thin headings, different fonts. Really, it's just a variety of elements put together in an artistic way. So zines are meant to be accessible, autonomous, and affirming. We call them like the 3 A's. So they are accessible because you don't need much to create a zine. With just pencil, paper, and creativity, you're all set to make a zine. Really, there's not much. They're not some things that you have to spend much money on. Zines that I have made were on Canva, so they were digital, and we used this free website that will be talked about later on. But either handmade or digital zines, they're accessible. Zines are also autonomous because you have complete control over the message you want to share and how it is presented. So the final look is completely up to you, the creator. So don't hold back when you're making your zine. Make it yours. And finally, the zines are affirming because they can connect with, they can connect with the experiences or topics that are shared throughout your zine. Someone may find themselves being represented through your zine, and it is important because it makes us feel less alone. So basically, zines have been made throughout history and have told stories from many different people and have painted many different pictures. The person who we credit as being the first zinester is Ida B. Wells. And Ida B. Wells was a leader in the civil rights movement and made a huge impact as an investigative journalist. Being the first zinester is one of the many things she is recognized for, and truly, like, she's an extraordinary woman, and I highly recommend you to search her up and research her a bit. She published many works of the horrors being done to Black people. She wrote a zine in 1893 along with other zine writers and activists. The zine was called The Reason Why the Colored American is Not at the World's Fair. It was a zine created to protest that no accomplishments or history of Black people were showcased at the fair. She was exposing the lack of representation at the fair through a zine. The zine was printed and distributed internationally, and when people heard of this injustice, an entire day was established for Black history to be shared. And I think that it is important to be thoughtful of how Wells created a new medium to get her voice out. And the fact that zines are self-published really allowed her to challenge the dominant narrative and to get her message out instead of being constricted by the press. So if there's any questions already, feel free to put them in the chat. But that's just the background about zines.
Awesome. So thank you so much, Isabel. Next, we're gonna have some of our friends share their zines that they've created. These zines were made this past summer via online because of pandemic life. But there are some really amazing zines, and we're gonna start with Osmari. I'm gonna share my screen, so give me just 1 second, and then let me know when you're ready to go, Osmari.
And ready?
We're getting there.
Okay, so this is my first zine. I did it the last summer in a summer program that was about development and my writing and photography skills. And I decided to make my zine about the same program and my work on it. And my zine name is Welcome to My Head, where nothing is in the right place. Okay, so I make a short story that is not so short, But to summarize it, it's about a girl that feels really connected with this stranger girl that is always sitting in the same page at, at the same time every day in the park. So she feels really connected with her, but she doesn't know why and how this stranger can change her future and her present. Yeah, like I say, it's not so short, so also I take some photographies that I like. I like to make photographies in the nature because I feel like you can take very good photographies outside your home in any moment. Just you need to catch it. And also I made like another story about my own Chicago home story. There is a place in Chicago where I can feel like a home. And also another photographies of nature. And yeah, it isn't perfect, but I like the way it is. Then
Cool. So that's just one example. Now we're going to move on to Spencer's, and they'll give you a rundown of their zine. Bear with me, we're getting there.
Hi, my name is Spencer. My zine that I made this summer during this program was called Growth, the Mundane and the Mandatory, with the subtitle being The Inner Workings of an Anxious LGBT in the Midst of a Pandemic, Revolution, and Major Maturity. It's basically just about me having to grow up like extremely fast and you know, things are gonna happen to me whether I like it or not. This page is just about, you know, like in like July people tried to like hex the moon or something. You know, like I get it. I'm a witch, but you can't do that. She's a celestial being. She's too big for that. So, you know, I don't want my work to get absolutely screwed just because some people tried to mess with it. This page is about, you know, just not knowing where I'm going to be in the next like few years. You know, just a little Guns N' Roses reference with Sweet Child of Mine, and, you know, just having kind of anxiety about going to college and leaving home forever, basically. This page is basically just more anxiety about you know, not feeling up to par with, you know, old masters and like the really real professional artists and stuff. You know, like I have to go up against people who have been working with their craft for like 30-40 years and here I am just making little drawings and stuff. But you know, I'm practicing. You know, it's a process, you know, and you're not really gonna have that one thing there like forever. You know, it's an ongoing thing. You know, more witchy rambles. Ever since I was a kid, I really liked to collect small things like jars and rocks, and really love rocks. You know, but now since I practice some little bit of witchcraft, I now have an excuse to have even more jars, and I even have and I even have a very small jar here at my desk, just right there. Keeps up the morale. Uh, Here's just a page talking about like the tattoos that I have. You know, can't get one yet, but I do them anyways myself because I can draw a little bit and I have ink and needles. So, you know, do what I can. I have some on my hand and my arm and above my knees, and I would absolutely love to have like just like full sleeve on like my right arm and everything, have it be all coordinated and stuff. And up there is a picture of David Lee Roth because I just really, really like his tattoos. And I also really love Van Halen. So. This page is just about like a little care package that I got around that time. You know, it just came with like a little hygiene stuff. And it's just something that it's kind of like it's like a, you know, it's like a backup plan. If anything really bad happens to me, you know, because of my my identity and stuff, you know, I'll have that to take with me. So I'm not like, you know, out of the street without like toothpaste or something. And I have a playlist kind of attributing to that moment where I'm gonna like be able to leave and be independent and be by myself. So 5 songs from that playlist are Astro Zombies by the Misfits, Ordinary Man by Ozzy Osbourne, I Don't Want to Grow Up by the Ramones, Try to Believe by Oingo Boingo, and Walk by Pantera. This is more like art ramblings. You know, I've just been trying to paint more, trying to hone the craft. You know, art is a process. Any sort of creative thing is a process. You are never sort of like at a peak where you're at like full mastery. You're always improving. You always got to try to improve, and you always have to practice. You know, basically last page, you know, me when I graduate, I'll finally feel like I have some sort of independence, and I feel like I'll have some sort of freedom, you know, with just the situation that I'm in. And, you know, some more songs from the playlist, right? You know, Boys Keep Swinging by David Bowie, Black Me Out by Against Me, Let's Be Avant-Garde by the Yellow Monkey, Famous Last Words by Tears for Fears, and Goodbye Goodbye by Oingo Boingo. And that is the end. I just have little pictures that I find very, very amusing. I really like that monkey one. He's just on the computer.
Amazing. I just realized that we all look like this monkey right now. We're all like on our computer, like realization. All right, so amazing. Now we're going to get into talking about some prompts with Osmari, and that's going to be another thing I'm going to present. So let's get on with it.
Okay. Okay, so like I said before, my name is Osmari Calderon, and I am going to talk about topics or prompts for making your scene. But first things first. Scenes can express many different opinions, messengers, and ideas. This only depends on you and the thing you want to share with the world. The concept of scenes had an ancestor in the amateur press movement on the late 19th and early 20th century. Many groups find ways to publish their own story in leaflet and pamphlet form for as long as such technology has been available. But what can you write about? That's the biggest question. In a few words, to respond to this question, you can write about anything you want. Like I said before, many groups create scenes that have an important effect in the world. For example, on January 9, 1776, Thomas Paine published Common Sense, a pamphlet that advocated for American independence from Great Britain. This piece played an important role in the American independence movement and showed us how impactful this piece can be. Do you have an idea that can change the world? You can express with a scene. Maybe yours could be the newest one. Well, here are just some topics that you can use for making your scenes. For example, in photography, literally you can do whatever with the photography. You can take a picture of anything. And about comics, food, you can share recipes. Fanzines are seen about things you are fan of. About self-care, you can make like tips, exercise, recipe for face masks. Art, you can make like what is art for you. About yourself, you can share your story, you can share your tradition, you can share your culture, about your hobbies and passions, and about sports, like important rules and games in sport. Next slide, please. Okay. Well, talking about more specific prompt, like you can even make a scene about scenes. There are so many that you can discover. And like the name of the workshop is Scenes and Her Storyboard Telling. What is your story you want to tell? Like in each photograph, in each paragraph, there are a story that you need to share with the world. You need to make your voice heard. And I know that could be a difficult start when you don't know where to start, obviously. But it happened to me, but it's not the end of the world. Like I said, my first thing, I was like, oh my God, so what can I do here? So I decided just to make like my word in my scene. But if you're still unsure about the topics or prompt you can make for your scene, try with this. How pizza could be a geometrical problem? Who am I? You can tell about yourself, what is made you unique, experience, poetry, stories, photography. Marshmallow clowns. You can talk about your favorite candies and compare with the nature. The best horror movies of all the time. And what do you like, what you don't like? Your Chicago favorite place, where you feel like a home. Those are just a few topics for you to choose. Remember that you can make a scene about anything you want, and there will be people out there starting to read it. And there is no wrong decision. So, like, we finished the first part of the presentation. If you have any question, please ask in the chat or out loud. So, is there any question?
Any questions or comments? Okay, so we have a question from Brenda. How long did it take you all to complete your first zine? I give it to y'all.
Well, I'm sorry. In my case, it was like the whole program because I hadn't an idea. So I talked with my professors and they said like, try this. And I said like, yeah.
As mentioned by Isabel before, I've been making zines for like a while already. I have some of the zines that I've made here. I'm not sure which one, the first one that I made, but the first one that I know for a fact that I made, or one of the first ones, was this one right here. It's basically just like a comic. It printed the wrong way. It printed the wrong way when it was printed. It was supposed to be like double-sided, but you know, it ended up getting kind of bad. You know, but it's just basically you know, like a past, present, and future kind of rendition of like, you know, how LGBT people, you know, face problems. You know, just like in general, you know, there was you know, the past one was in the 60s with Stonewall. What's Come on, I got it here. Yeah, 1969 with Stonewall. The present one is, you know, based off of something that I've experienced with my parents. And the future one is, you know, kind of more based on like infighting and like kind of the bad things within the own community. Even though we should be like, you know, accepting of each other because like nobody else is accepting us. And then I think I have, and that one took me like, it took me like a month, I think, just to plan everything out and to, you know, make everything kind of look nice. I remember I stayed up one night and I was dying. And my sister was like, "Turn off the light. I don't want you working on it anymore." And then I went to another room in like the attic, and it was just a lot. And then I have this other one right here, kind of like a fanzine of a fanzine actually. You know, a gag in the punk scene with, you know, Glenn Danzig and Henry Rollins like dating in secret or whatever. It's a funny little thing. It's like a little comic in grayscale. And I have just like these little illustrations of them being kind of gay. So yeah, and that one took me like about like a week, I think. You know, it all depends on like how much I need to do and also just like how much I like the project.
Lupita, can I share? Okay, so I mean, I didn't share my zine, but like I said, I made two. And since I like decided to make it like a combination of written pieces and photography and drawing, that could take some time. Sometimes photography, like, you know, it's really quick. You already have your photos, but you still need a lot of time to finish the writing and then revise it and then make it solid. And I would say that it took like 2 solid weeks to finish two of them, one main one and then one extra one that I put like less effort into it. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we have another question from our friends in the chat, and the question is, what are some of your favorite authors that inspire you?
I'll go first because I don't read that much. Like I don't read novels. I mostly just read comics. I feel like the way that I kind of got into zines was because of like a YouTube video. I forgot who it was, but you know, they were talking about making zines and I was like I want to do that. You know, that sounds fun because I always like hop on everything that I think is like vaguely cool. I mean, like I tried sculpting this summer. Terrible. I hated it, but I still did it because I was like, I want to do it. You know, but I feel like if I were to kind of attribute somebody for like inspiration, just generally with how I write and like the things that I like to do, it would probably be Eiichiro Oda, the creator of the manga One Piece. He's like kind of like the reason that I started making stuff in general, started like drawing seriously and started like making like writing and stuff, you know. So yeah, I don't read that much, so I got nothing deep.
I would say I feel like I'm kind of cheating because it's like a book or like a short story that we're reading in school. but the author is James Baldwin. He's very like the amount of figurative language in his work. It's very inspiring, especially the imagery. It's so descriptive, and right now in school we're reading Sony's Blues, and I really like it, and I recommend. It's a short story, so I recommend y'all to like search it up and read the PDF online. It's really good.
So well, in my case, like I say, I am new in this world, so I don't have like a author like inspiring me. So I just make the summer program. I say like, oh, this is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point to make, is that people nowadays consume media really differently. You know, there's so many different ways to have a story told to you, and I think that's a beautiful thing about zines, is that you can have a zine and read it and get so much more than you would just get from text on a book. So it's really like not just authors, but creators and activists, and so many different layers of what people can be, and how people can influence others through zine making. You don't have to be a writer, you don't have to be a photographer or an artist. You can be none of those things and become one through making a zine. So speaking of, this is a good segue into our next piece. So Spencer is going to share with us some visual elements to help you, give you guys some ideas on how you want to articulate your ideas for your zine that you're going to be making, hopefully, as we do this. Take it away, Spencer. I'm going to grab the presentation.
All right, while she's doing that, hi again for the third time. I'm Spencer. I make I make like character illustrations and stuff mostly. It's been my passion since I was like a little kid, constantly getting in trouble for drawing during class. Um, I've had teachers try to throw out my stuff. I had a teacher actually throw out my stuff, which kind of sucks. But yeah, I also like to make zines with my characters as well. That's them. Old rock stars dealing with quarantine. My favorite. So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the visual aspects of zines. I feel like with anything kind of visual, you need some like knowledge of like aesthetics and just like the basics of like how to make something look nice. What I'll be going over today: composition, color, and lettering. We're going to start off with composition. So here we have center focus. It's a little it's self-explanatory. The focus of the image is directly in the center. This is from Rocky Horror. If anybody here loves that movie just as much as I do, this is the part where Frankenfurter is like, I'm going home to Transylvania, and so he has like this like very emotional scene. It's very, very beautiful. I love it a lot. But you can see that his eyes are in the center basically of the image, which the eyes are the window to the soul or whatever. This is from old Western movie. It's an example of framing. With framing you could really frame anything with anything. You could I have this little mirror that I always have here at my desk for references and stuff. And I'm a narcissistic person just like everybody else. I want to look at myself in the mirror. But you can frame something in a mirror, in a doorway, in a window. You can frame something with other objects as well, multiple objects. But you can see right here, this is a screenshot from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, old Western movie. I watched that as a kid. And you can see that our cowboy friend here is being framed by the noose. Sort of just implying impending doom and gloom and destruction and stuff. This is the third sort of concept. This is the rule of thirds. it's a bit more of like a complicated thing because there's like rules to it and stuff. But typically you would cut up whatever you have, the image into 9 equal parts, and what you would want to be the subject or the focus or whatever of the image is going to be either in the intersections or on the, on the little corner quadrants. So you can see that, Thor's hammer is right there on the bottom left-hand quadrant, and Thor is, on the intersections, on 2 of them, actually. Not with this one yet, but collages are also, a type of thing that you can, apply composition to. I'm sure all of you guys have made collages before. The teacher at the start of the year hands you like 5 magazines, and they're like, make a collage of things that you like, and you can't find anything that you like besides like the pictures of dogs and cats for like cat food and pet insurance and stuff. But you end up settling for that. Here's a zine that I made last year. The collage isn't exactly the center point of it. It's like the art right here. But you can see mostly like what I like. I like David Bowie, and I like David Bowie, and I like David Bowie, and I like Danzig. So take a breath. Okay, so moving on to like colors. You have monochromatic color schemes. Here is one with an accent. If you want to make something's composition kind of interesting, you would have, kind of like, a monochromatic color scheme, which would mean, like just like different shades of the same color. So, if you were to look at like an old TV, that's monochromatic because it's all like gray tones and it's the black and the white. And so it makes for good composition when you have, a fully like black and white image and you have like a pop of color there just like in your face. It's like, look at this, it's in color in comparison to everything else. And so again, with monochrome, you can just have it be just that one color. You can see right here, I have a bunch of little drawings of, myself. I did it for a study, but just different shades of like red, purple, green, blue, and so that makes for a really nice coherent color scheme. And so this is a primary color scheme. Primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. Some people say that it's like cyan and magenta and yellow. If you want to use what the printer uses to make colors, then by all means, that's your primary color scheme, but I just use, the one that you learn in elementary school. Little drawing of Bill and Ted for all the Bill and Ted fans out there, really love that movie. This is, a secondary color palette. It uses the colors that you get when you, mix up all of the primary colors together. So it'd be purple, orange, green. I didn't go exactly with the color scheme with this one, but you can kind of tell that like, those 3 colors are kind of like the main colors, and the other 2 colors that I use kind of like, how do I say it? They they're similar enough to the orange to where it's not like, that much of a contrast. And so next with colors, we have gradients. Again, this is a monochromatic gradient. It goes from a light blue to like a slightly less light blue. Very nice. You can have these as like, like a background or something. Another gradient, this is using contrasting colors. So if you were to look at a color wheel, they would be on the opposite ends. I'm pretty sure blue and red are on the opposite ends. Could be very, very wrong. I'm not good at color theory, but you can see that the red and the blue are mixing together to make a nice little purple there at the bottom. And so again, good for backgrounds and overlays and just to make things look nice, The last thing that I'm going to talk about is lettering. You can see here, block lettering is good for like titles. It's good to make something look, you know, kind of like childish, almost like immature, maybe not immature because that sounds like rude, but you know, something you know, that you would think about when you think about like middle school, you know, because like these are the letters that you write at the back of your notebook. And you're like, oh my god, I found this out, you know, after I found out how to make the really cool S, so now I can make the really cool S in 3D. So you learn how to do it in middle school. Everybody wants to learn it from you. You're the cool kid for like 5 minutes, and it's great, you know. Next lettering is long lettering. You know, again, good for really really good for titles. You know, really good to add emphasis on one word or a phrase or a sentence. And again, with composition, you know, you can make it really nice with that. You know, if you have, you know, kind of like a sea of text and you have that one word in the big long text, in all caps and everything, it'll encapsulate the reader and it'll be like, oh, you know, they'll flip through your zine and they'll be like, oh my god, like there's that big word and sea of like little words. So I have to read it so I can know what the context of that big word is. You know, the next is lowercase, you know, all lowercase. Again, good for titles. You know, if you want to make something really serious, you know, usually when you kind of write little notes to yourself or something, you know, you won't really care about like grammar and capitalization because nobody's grading your little post-it notes. You know, so it could be something for something very personal or just something very serious, you know, having all lowercase letters with like a period at the end, you know, kind of brings in emphasis to like, you know, how serious something can be. The last thing I was talking about, the last thing that I'll talk about today is shapes. You know, you can use this with, you know, the color and the composition and the lettering as well. You know, there's a certain type of poem called, I think, like a diamant poem, but it's, you know, it's in the shape of like a, how do I do that? It's in the shape of like a diamond, right? And that's actually like official, that's like an official sort of like a format to a poem. So you can do something like that, but you could also use the one that I have here as kind of like a template. You know, you can put all your text into a circle, you know, and you know, it can be something about, you know, positive things, you know, think of like the sun, nice warm thing. You know, stability would be like, you know, you put everything in like a square. You know, think of just like, you know, a regular novel, you know, you just have like the block of text right there, you know, and it's just something like familiar and like stable. And then you can format all of your text into a triangle. You know, think of like a hierarchy triangle, you know, if you had like, if you had world studies, you know, like the caste system where like, you know, the people all in power up here, you know, you can have, you know, kind of like the most important thing be at that top of the triangle and then have it kind of go down into like the least important thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. So let's keep the question going in the chat, and I'm going to load up our video. This video is just a instructional video on how to do Canva things and how to make a zine on Canva. My advice to you is if you want to follow along, make this window smaller, get yourself a little split screen action going if you want to follow along. If not, this is a video that you can just pull up on YouTube and watch on your own. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so just go to canva.com and click sign up on the right-hand corner. I used my Gmail account to enroll into Canva. You can use Facebook. I chose personal as my use. And then here, this is where you search for your design. You can type in flyer, or you can type in logo, t-shirt design, poster, anything you want, you could type in here. But today we're gonna type in magazine. So I'm creating a photography zine. I've been in my garden a lot and I let a lot of my grass grow. I will be creating a native indigenous Illinois plant zine. So I've looked at a few of these designs. On the left, you can see me scrolling. They have a lot of different designs. And again, you don't have to use any of these templates. This is just what I'm doing now to show as an example. It may not be my finished product. So what I like to do is I like to choose a few of them and just add another page and then play with all of them and see which one I like best. Once I've collected the ones that I like, the next step to do is search for photos. Canva has their own personal gallery of photos. A lot of them are free, so you can select the photos from the options they have, or you can upload your own images. So I have already picked out some photos that I want to use for my zine. So I just uploaded them and I'm going to paste them into the template. And you can move around the image, you can resize it. It has a lot of different fonts available, and there's a lot available for the free version. The other cool thing Canva does is you can add effects to your photo. So you can mix the colors. And this is really cool. Like if you have a logo and you want to play with it, or a photo that you want to play with, you can also change the contrast, the brightness, saturation, typical photo editing options. You can crop the image, you can flip it, you can center it. It'll automatically, it has its own ruler. It'll center it for you. You can change the transparency. So if you don't want it to be a solid image, you can change that. It'll also give you color templates for the colors that are on the page, which is really cool, like the color palette. So you can use those colors to complement the existing colors. You can add elements. There's a lot of elements that I like to use. You can add stickers, you can add little graphics. You can play with the colors, you can alter the size of any element. So once you're done with your zine, I obviously am not. I just want to show you how to download. The cool thing is it'll allow you to download different formats like JPEG, PNG, PDF, and I like to download in PDF print. And as you can see, there's my in the works zine. And so I encourage you to play with Canva, check out all the elements, check out all the designs, just play with it and see what you can create and have fun.
All right. Hopefully that gave y'all a starting point for what we are going to be doing with the rest of the time. So for the rest of the time, we're open to answering any questions. I'd love to have more conversation in the group chat. And if people are starting to work on their zine, their digital zine, like right now, just to get started, let us know if you need any advice on that. But yeah, we really just wanted to have a window of time at the end of this, even if it's just a few minutes, to answer any of your questions and see how you all are feeling. Thank you for the link, Miss Polly. So Miss Polly has put the link to the YouTube video that we just watched in the chat, so you can reference it later if you so wish. So I'm very excited. That's how I'm feeling. Osmati, Isabel, and Spencer, y'all did such a good job. Yeah, and I'm really excited that people are going to be able to like go and make their own zine.
Lupita, I think we had a question in the chat. They were asking, let me scroll up. It was asking, if we ever got any writer's block and how we can get over it. I'll answer the question. I get tons of, creative blocks all the time because I'm constantly doing just a bunch of different stuff. I feel like I got advice last year about it, and it was something along the lines of the reason that you have that block is because you're not focusing on something that you subconsciously want to, focus on. So I think in one way you can, just listen to yourself, listen like genuinely, like don't force yourself to write anything. If you really, really don't feel like writing, then don't don't do it, because you're gonna make like subpar content if you force yourself to do that. Like I feel like people can tell, when you make something like with love and with that like heart, or not. Um, and so, then also if if you're like me and you really just have to put something out there and you have to like make something, then, just make it off of something that you don't think that you would ever like get sick of, I guess. Don't like how to, like make it about something that you really, really like, write about like your favorite things, just write about things that make you feel happy, with my creative blocks. Typically it's not really writer's block because I constantly have things swarming around in my brain, and I can genuinely write for like hours and hours just because I have so much like backed up because I never write. But I always have like artist's block, right? And I've just got over it. I've just gotten over that. Trying to like force myself to do all this stuff for like portfolio work. And so now I'm just drawing stuff, that makes me happy, so like old dudes who play guitar, that makes me happy. So that's what I'm drawing, and so basically just, if you really have like a really bad block, then just, kind of make something based on something that you like, something that you would never get like tired or bored of, something that you can go like on for like years, decades about, and you'll probably be okay.
Yeah, some people say, oh, just sit down and put what you need to put on the paper. But sometimes that's like a little forced. So what I do is I walk around and I keep like a little notebook nearby, because the thoughts will come. Like you will spiral, and if you have a notebook, you can write some of that down and maybe use it for your zine. Cool. So we only have a couple minutes left. I guess my question that I have for y'all is, do you have a upcoming zine in the works? What might that be about? Yeah, I'm very curious from anyone, not just the teams that presented, but anyone in the chat. If y'all are making a zine, what is your topic about? Like, are you down?
Well, I just finished one like recently, two actually. One is a lot more sort of picture based. I have them both right here. One is a lot more picture based, and the other is more sort of like conceptual work for like my characters and stuff. Just a little reference zine. Zines can literally be used for like anything you want. I have tons of like little reference zines that I look back on, just so I don't have to like pull up my entire sketchbook and flip through everything and go through all the little tabs and stuff that I have. And so the one that I made earlier this week, this is very, very complicated. I do not like unfolding this because it makes me feel like I'm gonna rip it apart. But I got the concept from an artist that I really like. I forgot their name. I think it's Flesh.png, but they made like a poster based off of just like a one-page zine, and so it all folds out into just this one image, and see the little bottom parts just hanging off right there because I can't hold it. But so it all folds together and makes a semi-coherent zine. It's just a little drawing of Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin because I can. And the one that I did yesterday is just, like I said, a little conceptual one for like my characters and stuff, just like, putting the things that they like, bands that they like, like what instrument they play and stuff, how their personalities like, here's Alfredo. He is pretty boy of the band. He's very tall, and he has braces, even though he kind of doesn't need them in comparison to the drummer of the band, who really needs them and, you know, used them until he was in like his 30s. You know, and it's just stuff like that. You know, you could literally make a zine about anything. You can have a zine about pictures of your dogs, and I will probably do that one day.
For sure. The options are limitless. As Isabel mentioned before, like autonomous means that you can choose what it's all about. And also I gave us some ideas of where to go with that choice, right? And then Spencer gave us a lot of like the how for zine making. So together, hopefully this helps y'all get your zine making journey started or continuing that. If you want to know more about Brown and Proud Press or follow us on social media, I'm going to put it in the chat right now. We're at BPP Zines. Shout out to the teams for making this presentation and meeting with me for literally every Saturday for like a very long time to plan this. And yeah, to our friends, to Polly, to all the people. If anyone wants at this but yes, we're done. So our presentation is done. Oh my goodness. Done. I don't think we planned on how to end this really, so yes. Beautiful. That was great. Oh my god, they said we were great. Aww.
Okay, thank you to everyone for attending Zine and Heard. And let's give a round of applause for everyone.